Ladies and gentlemen, look who is now making his way to the world-famous octagon, flanked by UFC, making his way to watch the UFC, which he absolutely loves, and doing so with some sort of victory lap.
Raise your hand if you've ever felt personally victimized by American politics. Well, get ready to feel it all over again. We're diving into Trump's latest escapades, from partying with Proud Boys to giving security clearances like their party favors. But don't worry, we haven't forgotten about good old Joe. We'll compare his debate performance to Mike Tyson's recent fight. Spoiler alert, neither of them won any prizes for grace under pressure.
Fight on Friday night, was that a fight or was it more, felt more like a disagreement than a fight? Did you watch this, Tyson, Jake Paul? 58-year-old former heavyweight champ Mike Tyson was very rusty against 27-year-old Jake Paul. This is where I realized maybe it wasn't a great idea to bet money on Mike. Not that. That's not where it happened.
It's like watching your grandpa's fight over the TV remote, but with nuclear codes at stake.
Though his presence was definitely felt, but he was at UFC 309 at Madison Square Garden. Donald Trump he's still president-elect. He didn't attend the Tyson fight. Trump took a much-needed break from raiding insane asylums for cabinet picks for a little Proud Boys night out.
So Trump decided to ditch Tyson's fight for a boys night out at the UFC. I guess watching two guys punch each other wasn't exciting enough for the Donald. He needed some real action, like hanging out with a bunch of dudes and matching polos. Classy.
Dork, dork, goose, another dork. That's Don Jr., Eric Jr., these fellas.
Republican Party well represented here at UFC 309.
They flew in with Andre the Giant, who was spotted with two of his bigliest fans, Kid Rock and Elon Musk.
Picture this. Trump rolls up to the UFC event like he's entering a beauty pageant, except instead of swimsuit models, he's surrounded by a bunch of guys who look like they just stepped out of a frat house time machine. It's like The Hangover meets Fight Club, but with more MAGA hats and less Brad Pitt.
After the fight, Trump loaded the whole grab 'em by the posse onto his plane. There's a lot going on in this photograph. It's just like, where's J.D. Vance? Didn't he used to be Trump's running mate like 2 weeks ago? Poor J.D. Vance was at home on. There could be a UFC caliber battle in the Senate soon over Trump's ridiculous cabinet nominees.
Now, you might think this is just another wacky Trump outing, but hold on to your red caps, folks. These aren't just any bros, they're the Proud Boys, a group with a history more checkered than Trump's golf scores. These guys were basically Trump's personal army during the January 6th Capitol riot. Some of their leaders are even doing time for seditious conspiracy. That's fancy talk for trying to overthrow the government, in case you were wondering. But here's Trump hanging out with them like they're old college buddies. It's like inviting the Joker to your Batman-themed birthday party. Sure, it'll be memorable, but someone's probably gonna end up in jail. Experts are freaking out about this little get-together. They're worried it might make extremist behavior seem normal in politics, because nothing says presidential like pawing around with a group known for violence and extremism, right? So why is Trump choosing UFC and Proud Boys over Tyson's fight? Maybe he's scouting for his next cabinet picks. After all, who better to run the country than a bunch of guys who think punching is a valid form of political discourse? But wait, there's more drama in Trump land.
Wait a minute, if Biden had suggested skipping background checks, wouldn't Republicans in Congress be outraged? And the answer is yes, but this is different because these are Donald Trump's picks. The Trump transition team is reportedly planning to forego the customary FBI background checks for some of his picks. I'm actually with Trump on this one. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to do background checks for cabinet members.
Remember when job interviews used to involve boring stuff like background checks and qualifications? Trump's got a revolutionary new hiring strategy. If you've got a criminal record, you're hired. Who needs experience when you've got a rap sheet, am I right?
When the president himself is a convicted felon, right? There's no end to this nonsense. We are just scratching the surface. Only Donald Trump would force his new health czar to eat McDonald's, and that's what he does. These are subservience tests. I'm wondering when this bromance between Trump and Elon Musk is going to blow up like a SpaceX rocket, but for now at least, it appears to be going strong.
Normally, when someone's up for a fancy government job, the FBI does a deep dive into their past. They're looking for stuff like, have you ever tried to overthrow the government? Or do you owe money to any shady characters? You know, the usual. But Trump's like, nah, that's too much work. Let's skip it. Yep, you heard that right. Trump wants to skip the FBI checks for his cabinet picks. It's like he's setting up a criminals anonymous meeting, but instead of helping them recover, he's giving them the keys to the country. Genius or completely bonkers? You decide. Trump's hiring process is about as thorough as a toddler's toothbrushing routine. You hate democracy? Great, you've got the job. It's like he's collecting sketchy characters like their Pokemon cards. But here's the kicker. This isn't even the first time Trump's played fast and loose with security clearances. During his first term, he allegedly gave clearances to at least 25 people the FBI had flagged as potential national security risks. Because nothing says America first like ignoring the FBI, right? So, who are these lucky contestants on America's next top cabinet member?
Matt Gaetz, also known as the Caucasian Diddy, is in the hot seat right now. At least 2 women have testified before. Trump has reportedly been working the phones to put the squeeze on senators to strong-arm them into confirming Matt Gaetz for Attorney General. The classified documents in the men's room, he got away with all of it. It's like Shawshank without the redemption.
Well, we've got Matt Gaetz, who's been investigated for sex trafficking, because nothing says Attorney General material like being investigated for sex crimes, right? And let's not forget Tulsi Gabbard, who's been criticized for cozying up to dictators. Perfect for Director of National Intelligence. But here's the million-dollar question. Is Trump really going to skip FBI checks for these folks? And if he does, what kind of circus are we in for? Will the White House turn into a reality show where the contestants compete to see who can cause the biggest national security risk?
4 indictments, 34 felonies, an insurrection, the fake electors, the find me at 11,000 votes call. But I don't know that we'd ever come up with a character like Donald Trump who somehow slithered out of his cage yet again. We make a lot of movies and TV shows here in LA with all sorts of criminals, outlaws.
So what does this whole mess mean for America? Well, folks, it looks like we're in for a wild ride. Buckle up, Buttercup. Oh wait, we can't say that. How about get ready, America? Trump's cabinet might end up looking less like a team of experts and more like the cast of Ocean's 11. Let's just hope they're not as good at pulling off heists. Well, folks, it looks like Trump's really outdone himself this time. He's gone from reality TV star to potential reality TV cabinet. It's like he's trying to turn the White House into a Big Brother house, but with more national security risks. But let's not forget, behind all this comedy is some pretty scary stuff. Trump's hanging out with groups known for violence and thinking about putting people with questionable backgrounds in charge of important government jobs. It's all fun and games until someone loses a democracy, right? So what's next on Trump's wild ride? Will he start giving out nuclear codes as party favors? Or maybe he'll just skip the whole election thing and declare himself king of America? As John Oliver said, Trump's like a toddler with a shotgun, unpredictable and potentially dangerous. But hey, at least politics isn't boring anymore, right?